Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for taking a minute to watch this. I figured this was an easier way to go through this final project than having, everyone drag themselves to Woodburn Hall tomorrow, Tuesday, and spending 5 or 10 minutes talking about it and then, sending you on your way. So I wanted to take a minute, talk about this, and just set you free to go with it for the rest of the week. Basically, I'm using this project. I put this project together last spring as a replacement to the old project that is in the textbook, which I didn't like at all. This one is better at, in my opinion, you know, testing your ability to actually go in and do some analysis using Tableau. And instead of just having to figure everything out, which is what the book did, I've tried to sort of map it out for you. Um, so, no need to go through everything, but let's take a quick look at what we've got here. So, like I said, we're using purchasing card data from Washington, D.C. I picked the first quarter of 2025 because we should have full data for that period. Next thing to note, please note this one is an individual task. So the state auditor's office project is going to be a group, which you guys are going to have to pick your groups probably this week. I'll set that up so you guys can do that. Um, but this one is individual, and it should be all right. I mean, there shouldn't be any problem with you doing it individually. Now, even though we're not having class, I'm going to be on campus. So if you do have problems, you can email me questions or you can stop by during any of the class times. I mean, I'll be in my office from what, probably 9 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays until probably, well, my last class starts at 2:30, so probably until 2ish. And I mean, I might eat something at some point, but otherwise I should be around if you do have a question. Final file will be due next Monday, a week from today at 11:59 at night, just like always. And you will be submitting one Tableau workbook. So I forget what the extension is, but dot, well, whatever the workflow is, so that I can open it in my Tableau desktop. And then either a Word or PDF file that has your screenshots, and then there's a little write up at the end. So as we flip through it, um, the objective is to try and help get you ready to do the state auditor project. You can go and get the data that I'm using from DC's open data catalog. That's if you ever need data for something else, that's a place that actually has a lot of data. Maybe for a different class, it's just something to keep in mind that, hey, this is a place where I have data that's already, that I could do work with. Like I said, if you need it for a project or something. The data set, let's look at the data set real quick. It, okay, so this is the data set, and I pulled it straight down. It's a CSV file, and I just saved it as Excel. Now I made a couple changes to it. I run through on the over in the instructions what all the columns are, but basically these are the different agencies, obviously in column A. Column B has this date, and I don't know that any of, like, if I'm scrolling down here, none of them have a timestamp. Like or it has a timestamp, but none of them like change that. So I don't. That's frustrating. So I added column C just so you guys wouldn't have to do it. Basically, I made a couple formulas to pull out the day, month, and year, and then I put them all together, and then copy and pasted values. So you have a date column that you can work with. Transaction amount, obviously, it is not in any regular format, but you can see that there are decimals and whole numbers, like, you know, but it's showed as general, but you would definitely want to make that a value um, when you pull it in a Tableau. Vendor name, vendor state. So this MCC description, we're going to get into that with the state auditor's office, but basically the MCC codes, are this group of sort of this master group of codes from the credit card companies of how they label things. And they can get relatively specific. Like I'm just looking here. Let's see. Schools and education service, not where else classified office photographic photocopy microfilm equipment. That's probably a printer or something. But anyway, they could be pretty specific. Now, I don't have DC's spending guidelines like we do for the state of West Virginia. I mean, I'm sure we could find them. I'm not worried about that. That would take more time than what we need for this project, because for this project, I'm not really looking for you to be finding fraud or whatnot. I'm looking for you to be able to put together the Tableau files. So like for the state of West Virginia, you can look for like tobacco sales, tobacco stores and alcohol stores and stuff like that. There may be some of that here in DC. I don't know what their policy is, so I don't know if they're allowed to do that or not. Or sometimes some agencies are allowed to spend on certain things and some aren't. So that just depends. This DCS last date modified, I don't actually know what that is. I would not use it. Object ID is a reference number that they use. Again, those two columns probably aren't needed. And then this last column is something that I put in a lot of my files that have a lot of data that I'm using in Excel. And basically, I started with 1, and then I did, 1 plus, the cell above, 1 plus the cell above, and copied it all the way down to the end, and then copy and pasted values so that they're just numbers. The reason I do that is so that, like, if I want to sort something, like if I want to sort something by state, and I go, see, the share thing is in my way up here, sorry. Formulas, data. So if I wanted to sort and I want to do it by vendor state or province, okay. So now, and that way I can go look at each specific state or whatever. Well, now if we come over here, see how these numbers are all jumbled. Well, if I then want to put it back into the original order, even if I sort it by date, so let's go here and let's sort by that first date. Now, it may work whenever we put it in date, it may not. Yeah, see, we put it in date, so 1/1/2025, but look, our numbers are still all out of order. So that's why I put that sort feature in there, so that now if I want to get everything back to the way it was, I can go to sort and I can go and I can use that, my sort column at the end. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, see, I'm back in the original order of everything that I was in. So that's just something I do in a lot of my Excel files, and I found it very helpful over the years, because sometimes you're messing around with stuff and you realize you've moved something around that you didn't mean to, and you're like, what do I do? And so this is just a quick, easy way to keep your stuff in order, and you can always delete it whenever you're done. All right, so that's the data. It's not going to have our data from the state auditor's office has a lot more detail in it, but for what we're doing, this is enough. Dates, transactions, department, and who it's from. What the vendor is, and the MCC code. All right, let's go back to this. All right, so that's what I describe all that here in the data set. Now I'll let you guys walk through the 3 different parts. So you've got task 1, and then I put deliverables, label the worksheet, what, start a new Word file, put a screenshot of the couple things I ask you to do. And you can also see, like, I put in here, I tried to match it to like the work that we did for the tech labs. And so, these references that I put may not give you, exactly perfect answers, but it should get you to the place where, like, you have an idea of what I'm asking you to do. Part 2 is just asking you to create some more visualizations and then put together a dashboard. And then part 3 is where I actually want you to do some thinking and do a little bit of writing. And whenever I say a little bit, I do mean a relatively little bit. Identify the top 3 spenders, with the highest total spend during each quarter or during each month? Are they the same month after month? Brainstorm and give one or two potential reasons. Which vendors exhibit unusually high transaction amounts and or transaction frequency. So you can measure both. You can look at frequency or you can look at amount. You might have, someone that only has a couple transactions, but say it's buying, a bulk computer purchase. So it's, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars versus people buying stuff from Amazon. I think that there are literally probably thousands of transactions processed through Amazon, which surprises me that they're allowed to use their P cards to buy stuff from Amazon. But I mean, it is what it is. And then look at the monthly trends. Look for outliers, and then think of a couple things that you think should be happening to the person that was reviewing these P card transactions. And what I want you to do with those questions is within the Word file that you've started is to, put together a short written analysis answering those questions. And I put here, 1 to 2 double space pages. Like I'm not expecting you to write like, a 10-page works cited, all that stuff. I mean, I just want you to answer the questions. So it shouldn't take that much space at all. Breakdown of how I'm going to score it. And here, submission instructions. Each student will submit 1 Tableau workbook and 1 Word or PDF file with the written answers and screenshots for parts 1 through 3. So, make sure that it is a Word or PDF file, that it's not a Mac file. Just the usual things. Everyone's done a pretty good job of submitting that stuff. I want you to get it done on time because we're going to move on to the state auditor stuff. I don't want this dragging out. I'm pretty loose with my my dates as far as like if you've had something going on to like let you go and make up like the tech labs or whatever. I need you to get this done by next Monday so that we can start on the state auditor stuff. So to those ends, now that we've talked about all this, obviously, if we're not meeting for class, then I won't be able to bring any of the paper non-disclosure agreements with me. However, I will print some and keep them there in my office. So if you don't have access to a printer or you don't want to I think don't you guys have to pay at the university to print stuff now, which is absurd. But regardless, if you don't want to pay to print it, you're welcome to stop by. I will give you a copy printed on the accounting department's dime there on our printer. So, but I need to get those signed again. I got to have those this week, and it is a must have. I can't stress that enough that it's a must have. And so you will be getting, if anyone who's I don't have will be getting lots of follow-up emails starting probably Thursday to get those into me. So, all right, well, that's it. Everyone, good luck with this. Like I said, if you have questions, let me know. I will be in my office. You can always send me emails. I will respond as quickly as I can. Otherwise, good luck, and I will see everybody next Tuesday when we start talking about the state auditor's office project, which is going to be a lot more fun than the stuff that we've been working on. So that's it. Let me stop the recording.